Good afternoon. My name is Afisha Beckles. I am the Education USA advisor located in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. I am happy to welcome you to day 3 and the final session of our GRE Prep Bootcamp, designed to prepare students like yourself for the GRE exam. And as I did on the last 2 days, I'm going to just quickly share my introduction presentation for your information. So Education USA, for those who may not be familiar with our name and you may not have been with us over the past couple of days, we are a global network of advising centers that fall under the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. We provide accurate, comprehensive, and current information about the full range of accredited U.S. higher education institutions. And education advisors like myself work with students like you to give free access to introductory information on studying in the United States. For those who may be just joining us, I would encourage you to look at the recordings from day 1 and day 2, which are available on Education USA's Costa Rica's Facebook page. As I did answer these frequently asked questions, I won't go into them in detail today, just in the interest of leaving as much time as possible for the actual GRE preparation part of this session. So Education USA, our services cover the full range of the process of studying in the US, which would be from step 1 to 5, as you could see here on in the presentation, which again, I did share details on these steps in the first session, and you can view the recording for that information. I would also encourage you to visit Education USA's website, educationusa.state.gov, where you could get more in-depth information on these steps and find an advising center near to you. So without further ado, our guest presenter, who has been with us for the past couple of days, and again, rounding out the session today, would be Sorani Marin, who is an Associate Director for TOEFL and GRE Client Relations in Costa Rica, Colombia, Honduras, Mexico, Panama, and Cuba. She is a psychologist and a Master in Education and Diversity. So again, Sorani, thank you so much for being here with us over the past 2 days, and I leave it in your very capable hands.
Okay, thank you, Afisha. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, so as Afisha just mentioned, this is going to be our last session, and we're going to cover analytical writing, which is the last section of GRE. Okay, so first thing I would like to do, so I don't want to forget, I'm going to share something that I promised. I think it was yesterday or last Tuesday, I guess. Okay, so here, this is a link. I'm going to share it here. This is a link for you to understand a little bit more about how GRE is scored and how you're going to be chosen by universities. Okay, like the mechanism is different. It's very different from what they do with TOEFL IBT. So probably in this link, you're going to find information about it. Additionally, I have let me see if I have it here. I have a PDF. Okay, I think it is here. Yes. Okay, yeah, you're going to love this. This is the GRE information bulletin. I'm going to show you what you're going to find in there. And this is updated. How do I know that it is updated? Because of the colors. Okay, before we used, it was like maroon. That was the color of the brand. Now it's blue. So here, you're going to see all the information that you will find. 2021, 2022. That's another reason why I know it is updated. Okay, so here you're going to find information about GRE general test, the subject test, test preparation. So you're going to find links in there. Test takers with disabilities or health-related needs, contact information if you have any problem, but you already have my contact as well. No, but, and you already have my contact as well. Questions about, test registration, payment methods. I mean, this is very complete. And there is a chapter dedicated just to score reporting. Okay, so here, I think this is also really, really useful. Look, links are there, everything is there. Like all this information is also found in our website. But I think if you have it like here, all condensed, like in this PDF, I think it's gonna be much easier. So I'm gonna share right now this, let me see if it is okay. GRE, there you go. So there you have it. Remember, if you're connected from a cell phone, I think you won't be able to download this material. But anyway, Aphasia and all the Education USA advisors, they have access to this PDF, so they can also share it with you. Okay, so now let's start talking about analytical writing. Here we're going to be reading a little bit, okay, and you're going to see why, but it is absolutely necessary to read. Something else. Oh, well, I'm going to share this later. Okay, so this is the last part of the exam, and this is the reason, this section is the reason why the exam takes from 10 to 15 business days to be shared with the candidates, okay? Because this section of the exam is not scored by a machine, right? Not only by a machine, but it is scored by a human rater, a person, a real person that needs to judge on content, okay? So that's the reason. For the other two sections, as soon as you finish working on your exam and you click on report, you're not going to click on accept, please. You're gonna see that you're gonna have access to the scores, non-official scores. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this measure, analytical writing. Of course, we're gonna cover the two tasks that you're gonna find in here. And I'm gonna share some strategies for answering. And we're going to cover also, I'm going to give you some general strategies. Okay. So here, these are the skills assessed on the analytical writing measure. It integrates the assessment of critical thinking and analytical writing. It assesses, this section assesses the ability to articulate and support complex ideas, construct and evaluate arguments, sustain a focused and coherent discussion. It doesn't assess specific content in knowledge. Yesterday, I was telling you that this is a very common question candidates who participate in these sessions ask, and it is, Sorani, do you think it's the writing part, the writing section of TOEFL IBT is easier or more complicated than the one that we find in GRE? My opinion, this is just my opinion. I think the one we're finding here is easier. Okay, that's what I think. I'm going to show you how it works. What is the kind of, I would say, difficult part about this section of the exam? What I have seen candidates have like more difficulties with is reading instructions. Okay, because you're going to see that each task has different they are called variants, okay? So the instructions are different. So each task has, and you're gonna see like the characteristics of those variants. So what I have seen is that candidates have serious difficulties following those instructions, understanding what they have to do. And most of the time, they do what it is not being asked in there. You're gonna see why. Okay, that's why I told you that we're going to be reading carefully each variant, because that's what you have to, like to be attentive to. So these are the two tasks that you're going to find in this section of the exam. Analyze an issue task and analyze an argument task. Okay, your responses are going to be typed on computer. The processor is a basic one. Okay. You're going to be able to insert text, delete, insert from where, Sorani? From the question. You're going to see that the question sometimes has like a very complete and clear context. Delete text, cut and paste, and do the previous action. Spell checker and grammar checker, of course, they are not going to be available for obvious reasons. Okay. This is how essay responses are evaluated. This information is also, you're going to find this information in the link and the document that I just shared with you, the chat box. So what they do, like how essay responses are evaluated. So the scorers, they check that what you do respond to the specific task instructions. This is the first part. You're gonna see that the most complex, the most complicated part is you know, like following the directions of the variants. You're gonna see it. Consider the complexities of the issue or identify and analyze important features of the argument. That's another point. Organize, develop, and express his or her ideas. Support his or her ideas with relevant reasons and or examples, and control the elements of standard written English. Of course, grammar, vocabulary, that's important in there. But remember that this exam, and this is one of the differences between GRE and TOEFL, this exam is not really like evaluating your level of English. Yes, they assume that you already speak English, that you already have a pretty good level of English. Not only speak, right? But you know, like talking about, you know, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So each essay is scored by a human reader. This is why it takes from 10 to 15 business days, you know, to be scored using a 6-point holistic scale. I'm going to share that scale with you in a minute. The score is based on the overall quality of your essay in response to the assigned task. The essay score is then scored by the electronic rater. What for, Sorani? For linguistic features. Okay, so we have both. It is really complete. They want to be very objective. Okay, so it is scored by the E-rater for linguistic features and the human rater for content. If the human and E-rater scores closely agree, the average of the two scores is used as the final score. If they disagree, listen, and this is something that they do with GRE and also with TOEFL IBT, because again, they want to be very objective. If they both disagree, the response is scored by a second human reader, and the final score is the average of the two human scores. So this is how they do it. The final score on the two essays are then averaged and rounded up to the nearest half-point interval. This is something that you're going to find in the material that I just shared with you, and you're going to find a couple of examples in there. A single score is reported for the analytical writing measure, and of course, the materials that I just shared with you, they are found in our website. I don't know if that PDF, I think that PDF is also found there, but I'm not sure, but you already have it. Okay, so here we go with the rubrics, okay? So here we have the upper half scores and the lower half scores. You don't need to look at the lower half scores because this is not you, right? So 6, outstanding, 5, strong, 4, adequate, okay? In lower half, 3, limited, 2, seriously flawed, and 1, fundamentally deficient, okay? So this is how, remember that this part is scored from 0 to 6, okay? 0 to 6. And here, this information is also, you will find it in the link, okay, that I just shared with you. So this is how, these are like the descriptors of the rubrics. So 5.5 and 6 sustains insightful, in-depth analysis of complex ideas, develops and supports main points with logically compelling reasons and or highly persuasive examples, is well focused and well organized, skillfully uses sentence variety and precise vocabulary to convey meaning effectively, demonstrates superior facility with sentence structure and language use, but may have minor errors that do not interfere with meaning. This is nice. I mean, this is good because they are, you know, like they are flexible. They are a little bit flexible with the fact that we are non-native English speakers. Okay, 3.5 and 4 provides A competent analysis of complex ideas, develops and supports main points with relevant reasons and or examples, is adequately organized, conveys meaning with reasonable clarity, demonstrates satisfactory control of sentence structure and language usage, but may have some errors that affect clarity. And then 1.5 and 2 displays serious weaknesses in analytical writing. The writing, look, content is like the most important here. The writing is seriously flawed in at least one of the following ways: serious lack of analysis or development, lack of organization, serious and frequent problems in sentence structure or language usage, with errors that obscure meaning. Okay, so as in the people who attended the TOEFL IBT sessions, remember that I gave you the the rubrics, but also sample answers, because it is good to say, okay, so this is the rubric, this is what I need to do in order to get a 5.5, which is an excellent score for this GRE section. But you can say, Sorani, but I would like to go over, like one sample response where a person got that score. Okay, that's what I really want to do. Okay, so that's why I'm going to share with you. Okay, I have it here. Let me see. I'm going to share with you sample answers for each GRE sessions here. Sample answers. Here we have the, okay. So you're gonna find there examples for each, for 5.5 and 6, 3.5 and 4, and 1.5 and 2. Okay, that's what you're going to find. Okay, in that document. So you can go over that information at home. Okay, task types and strategies for answering. Okay, so remember, these are the two tasks that you're gonna find in the analytical writing section: analyze an issue task and analyze an argument. Okay, let's start talking about analyze an issue task. So it presents a brief quotation that states or implies an issue of general interest and specific instructions on how to respond to that issue. That's the point. I mean, when it says, and specific instructions on how to respond to that issue. I have repeated, like, this is the third time, I think, that this is the most common mistake candidates make. They don't follow the instruction, okay? It requires candidates to analyze the issue and develop an argument with reasons and or examples to support that position. So for this one, okay, your opinion is very valuable. So you're gonna have 30 minutes to plan and compose your response. And of course, if you respond to something, and let me tell you that this happens a lot, again, because candidates do not follow instructions. They respond to something different. Okay, so they are going to, receive a score of 0, and this is not going to happen to you. Here, this is the most important part, chicos. Pay attention to this. Directions. So one of these directions, okay, that I'm going to present, I have 6 different directions. One of those ones is that, like the one that you're gonna have. You're gonna be working on one of these ones on the day of the administration of GRE, on the day of the exam. Okay, it is not that you're gonna have to work on all of them, okay? But you're gonna see that they are very well explained, but all of them are very similar. So that's why you have to be careful. So one recommendation for you, Sorani, how should I prepare for this section of the exam? Easy, okay? In our website, where you find, where you find GRE prep materials, you're gonna find a lot of prompts, okay? Different topics for you to practice this section of the exam and analyze an issue task, okay? So just respond to that prompt using each variant, okay? That's what you can do. That's how I have done it, and that's what I always recommend candidates to do, okay? So you can make the difference between, you're gonna see what? Look at the first one. Write a response. So you're given the prompt, and then they say, write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement and explain your reasoning for the position you take. Listen to the second part. In developing and supporting your position, you should consider ways in which the statement might or might not hold true and explain how these considerations shape your position. Okay, so you have to read carefully and try to, to respond. The prompts are very simple. I'm going to show you an example in a minute, but this is, exactly, this is the critical part of the task. Okay, another variant. Write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the recommendation. Look, in the first one, we had the statement. So you have to recognize the difference between statement. Okay, do we have any statement here? Do we have a recommendation? And there are some others. With the recommendation, and explain your reasoning for the position you take. And this is a different part. In developing and supporting your position, describe specific circumstances in which adopting the recommendation would or would not be advantageous, and explain how these examples shape your position. You see, they are very similar. Look at number 3, short. Write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the claim. So there has to be, you need to identify a claim in there. And the reason on which that claim is based. Simple. Next one. Write a response in which you discuss your views on the policy and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In developing and supporting your position, you should consider the possible consequences of implementing the policy and explain how these consequences shape your position. Okay. Next, write a response in which you discuss which view more closely aligns with your own position and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In developing and supporting your position, you should address both of the views presented. And finally, write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the claim. In developing and supporting your position, be sure to address the most compelling reasons and or examples that could be used to challenge your position. Okay, so now you understand why I was, like highlighting on these variants. Okay, the prompts are very simple. Look at this example. This is one example. As people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. I know what you're thinking, chicos. You're thinking, Sorani, those prompts, those topics are very similar to the ones presented in the independent speaking task and the independent writing task of TOEFL IBT. And you're right, they are very similar. Those are, like topics that any person could say anything about them, right? But, and that's easy. But again, the level of difficulty is in the variant, in the question. Okay, so you have to clearly, I have even seen people taking notes, yes, like summarizing, like what they have to do. Okay, discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement above and explain your reasoning for the position you take. Okay, so that's the general task I have. Now here they are giving me details. In developing and supporting your position, okay, you should consider ways, so I'm going to take notes, ways in which the statement might, what is the statement? Okay, might or might not hold true, and I need to explain how those considerations shape your position, because at the beginning I said I agree or I disagree. So I have to connect everything. So everything that is included in the instruction has to be presented in your task, in your writing task. Okay. All right. Variants. Be careful with variants. Okay. So questions to consider when approaching to the issue task. So these strategies, I think they are really useful, chicos. They are really, really useful because when you start preparing for the exam, I think most of you you're already doing it. So you're gonna read and you're gonna ask yourselves, okay, what precisely is the central issue? What is the main idea, right? What precisely are the instructions asking me to do? They are, in other words, this is like, like go over the variant at least, I don't know, 3 times. Do I agree with all or with any part of the claim? Why and why and why or why not? Do I agree with the claim only under certain circumstances? What are those circumstances? Okay, that has to be clear. Does the claim make certain assumptions? If so, are they reasonable? This is analytical writing, okay? Do I need to explain how I interpret certain terms or concepts using the claim? If I take a certain position on the issue, what reasons support my position? You see, so practice a lot, because again, this is, I think it is easier only if you know how to follow instructions. Okay. Okay, general reminders about the analyze an issue task. Okay, so you're gonna, stick to the specific task directions. You can feel free to accept, reject, or qualify the claim. Okay, there's no right answer. They just need to see like completion, right? That you're following instructions and that your response is complete. And you must make it clear how your reasons and or examples support your position on the issue. Important here, like key, use connectors. Connectors are going to help the readers, the scorers. Your readers are going to be the scorers. Understand, like what you want to express. Connectors are going to help readers see something that is, like well organized, okay, that is fully, like coherent, like easy to read. So connectors, first, second, for example, besides, however, even though, thus, to conclude, something well structured. Okay, so that's one of the recommendations. Use connectors. Okay, so that was the first task. And then we have analyze an argument task. Okay, perfect. Analyze an argument task. So remember that in the previous one, it was just pretty much a sentence. It was a statement. In here, you're gonna find a short passage that presents an argument and specific instructions on how to respond to that passage. So you're going to have to assess the logical soundness of the given argument according to the specific task directions. You're going to have 30 minutes, same time that you had for the analyze an issue, 30 minutes to plan and compose your response. And remember that if you respond to something that is not being asked, you're going to get a 0, but it won't happen. Okay. So here we also have variants. Okay. We have 3, 7, we have 7. Okay, so you're gonna see that they are all of them, they are very similar. But again, I mean, you're gonna find the passage, and of course they are going to choose just one. But please follow instructions, read carefully the variant. Write a response in which you discuss what specific evidence is needed to evaluate the argument and explain how the evidence would weaken or strengthen the argument. That's one. 2, write a response in which you examine the stated and unstated assumptions of the argument. Be sure to explain how the argument depends on these assumptions and what the implications are for the argument if the assumptions prove unwarranted. So that's why I was telling you, you have to read carefully and see what they want you to do. Then we have write a response in which you discuss what questions would need to be answered in order to decide whether the recommendation is likely to have the predicted result. Be sure to explain how the answers to these questions would help to evaluate the recommendation. Then we have the next one. Write a response in which you discuss what questions would need to be answered in order to decide whether the recommendation and the argument on which it is based are reasonable. Be sure to explain how the answers to these questions would help to evaluate the recommendation. Okay, next, write a response in which you discuss what questions would need to be answered in order to decide whether the advice and the argument on which it is based are reasonable. Be sure to explain how the answers to these questions would help to evaluate the advice. Then we have Write a response in which you discuss what questions would need to be answered in order to decide whether the prediction and the argument on which it is based are reasonable. Be sure to explain how the answers to these questions would help to evaluate the prediction. Then, write a response in which you discuss one or more alternative explanations that could rival the proposed explanation and explain how your explanation or explanations can plausibly account for the facts presented in the argument. This is the example, okay? This is the example. So as you can see, this is, it is different, it is a passage. So it says, in surveys, Mason City residents rank water sports like swimming, boating, and fishing among their favorite recreational activities. The Mason River flowing through the city is rarely used for these pursuits. However, and the city park department devotes little of its budget to maintaining riverside recreational facilities. For years, there have been complaints from residents about the quality of the river's water and the river's smell. In response, the state has recently announced plans to clean up Mason River. Use of the river for water sport is therefore sure to increase. The city government should, for that reason, devote more money in this year. In this year's budget to riverside recreational facilities. Okay, so it is clear. Look, vocabulary is simple. I don't see anything like complicated in there, difficult to understand. Common situation, yeah. So it's a situation that generally we find in our hometowns, right? So here we have write a response in which you examine the stated and or unstated assumptions. So that's the first thing that you need to identify there of the argument. Be sure to explain how the argument depends on these assumptions and what the implications are if the assumptions prove unwarranted. Okay, so you say, Sorani, yes, the passage is simple. It is simple. The question, the variant, that's the point. That's tricky. Okay, so that's how you have to, to practice and prepare for this section of the exam. These answers that we have here, these are the answers that I just shared with you. So here we have essay response that a person that scored 6. This is a real sample response from a real test taker, and this person scored a 6. So you're going over at home, not here. You're going over this information that you have there in the Word document. You're not say, okay, it's not perfect here. There's a problem with grammar. Probably this word choice is not really like, I would have used another word, but I see something that is connected, that is well organized. Here is she or he using connectors. Okay, while it may however, for example, perfect, unless, okay, additionally, perfect. Okay, yes. So this is what you have to do, to carefully analyze these responses. And then, look, this one is long, okay? It's kind of long here. This is the end of level 6. You're gonna find essay response number 5, okay? Okay, this is another question that you may have, Sorani. In TOEFL IBT, I know we have a suggested word count. Is it the same for GRE, for the analytical writing? No, you can just, your inspiration, use your inspiration on the day of of your exam. Okay, no suggested word count. Exam response number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1. Okay, and now you see why this person got 1. Okay, so this information again, I just shared with you. It is in the Word document. Okay, so here we have some strategies for the analyze and argument task. So you have to check, what is offered as evidence, support, or proof. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to identify. Remember that you're gonna have scratch paper. Okay, and if you need additional one, you can raise your hand, and the proctor and the administrator of the exam, they are going to provide you with more. So if you feel like it's kind of complicated to start writing because you're gonna start like wandering and your ideas are not going to be well organized. Something that helps me, because that's my learning style, that helps me a lot is, of course, I need to be careful with time. But what I do is I always read, in the case of the analyze and argument task. Well, in fact, I do it with the other one as well. I go over the passage. Most of those passages are very easy to understand, are very simple to understand. So what I do is I draw like a map, okay? I brainstorm the ideas, and then I start categorizing. I look at the variant, okay? And I say, this is what they are asking me to do, okay? So then I look at my mind map, because it could be a, like a quick mind map. And I start categorizing, like organizing the like the order of the ideas. Okay, number one, I'm gonna start, this is gonna be my introduction. And this second word is going to be part of my introduction as well. But I like to, I prefer to have like a mind map. And then with that mind map, I can start, like writing. So that helps me a lot, but that's because of my learning style. Okay, you can say, Sorani, that's not necessary. We're quick thinkers and we can do it well. Two, what is explicitly stated, claimed, or concluded? What is assumed or supposed, perhaps without justification or proof? What is not stated, but necessarily follows from what is stated? Yes. And here we have that you have, like stick to the directions given in the variant. You must make it clear, how specific analysis of the argument connects to the assigned task. And candidates, okay, for this one, you're not being asked to present your own view on the subject matter, okay? So this is similar to what we had with TOEFL IBT. Remember, independent task and integrated task. For the independent, your opinion is all. In this case, for GRE, analyze an issue, your opinion is absolutely important, okay? TOEFL, integrated task. You had to read, you had to listen, take notes, okay? In TOEFL IBT, you have to stick to the information presented on the passage and the notes that you took out of the lecture. That's for TOEFL. But your opinion is not important. Stick to that information. Same thing as here. Analyze an argument task, your opinion is not necessary, okay? I'm not gonna say it's not relevant because it sounds rude, very rude. Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted to share with you. Okay. Wow, 6:39. I thought I was going to take longer going over those variants. Okay. I don't know if you have questions. You feel, like ready to get like, something else that I'm going to show you, Aphasia. I found this comes from Princeton University. I found here a link. I think you're going to like it. Like, what is a good GRE score? I think, and it comes from Princeton University.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they are part of our.
That's really very helpful.
They are part of our, like family of universities. So here, I'm going to share it with you, this link, so you can, like say, okay, so this is what I need. Let me show you the, okay, yeah. Okay, Princeton, okay. So what is a good GRE score? Okay, so here we have an explanation of GRE score percentiles. Okay, so I think there are some, like examples here, business school search, grad school search, that can help you, like analyze a little bit more your GRE score. By the way, Princeton University is right next to the hotel of ETS, of Educational Testing Service in Princeton. Aphasia, that's all. That's all. Questions?
Okay. Well, we did get one question while you were going through your presentation. Someone asked, is there a minimum number of words for the essays to obtain a high score?
No, well, no, not a minimum, not even a maximum. Of course, if we say, remember that that last sample answer that I showed you, that I shared with you, the one that got 1. If you say that, you know, that you're gonna give like a complete response in just 5 lines, of course, that's obvious that your score is not going to be the best. But they just need to analyze. I'm not gonna tell you, chicos, 100 words, 150 or 200. No, they just need to see that the answer is complete. Okay,
Yes.
and that's all.
Good. So the student needs to make sure the answer reflects that they did put some thought and they did actually analyze what was stated.
Exacto. That's it.
Great. Well, I think we can open up the floor again for questions since we do have some time. So students, feel free to send your questions. Take advantage of having Sorani here with you. This is a really unique opportunity. So anything that comes to mind, feel free to ask.
Okay, I'm gonna also share my email with you guys in case you need something. But again, you know, talk to Margaret and Aphasia and all the Education USA advisors, and they're going to provide you with solutions. And if not, they are going to contact me and we're gonna give you a solution.
Sorani, can you reshare the Word document with the sample answers?
Claro. Yes. There you go.
Thank you. Right, there was one person asking for that document to be resent. And let me see, I think a couple more questions came in. Yes, for the agree/disagree type of questions, can we provide an alternative point of view different to what was presented at the statements?
Yes, as I read before, we're not gonna have like, you know, like correct or incorrect answers. You can say, you can go for agree or disagree, just support your opinion with powerful examples and arguments, and that's all. Yeah.
Okay, and then there was another question. A student asked is the GRE similar to the PAAP? I am not familiar with that acronym.
I'm not either.
Okay, so Claudia, maybe you could expand a bit in terms of what that stands for, if you don't mind resending your question.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, I do, because I'm a professor of languages as well. I am familiar with many other exams. I'm not allowed to talk about any of those exams,
Yeah.
but and it will. I mean, most of my professional experience has been with TOEFL IBT. So even if I knew what that acronym stands for, probably I wouldn't be able to give you the answer. I'm sorry.
Understood. Okay, well, it doesn't seem as though there are any other questions coming in. So maybe we can take advantage of this being the last day and wrap up a bit early.
Hold on, Aphasia. Jaden. Okay, hold on. This person sent this message just to me. It says, Aphasia shared a list of 4 steps that Education USA can take. It was at the beginning. How do I apply to be considered for these steps? The steps included prepare for departure, etc.
Oh, so Jaden, those steps, the 5 steps to US study, it's a way that Education USA has simplified the process of studying in the US to guide students through that process. So it's a guide that we use as Education USA advisors to help you understand the steps that are involved in the process of studying in the US. So what you can do if you are interested in studying in the US It's not that you need to be considered. You just need to either connect with us through the Education USA website, which I can share, and reach out to an Education USA advisor that is located close to you, and you can receive more information on the process of studying in the US and those 5 steps. So let me just share the link to the Education USA website.
Also, chicos, remember please to share with Education USA advisors information, like in case you can find a GRE site or a TOEFL site in your cities or even in your countries, right? If you don't see available dates and you see your plans totally frustrated because you don't have, I mean, how to meet that requirement, please talk to them immediately. Talk to them, and we are going to work together to solve your situation. Okay. Probably the person who emailed me, I think it was today, okay, is here. Tomorrow I'm gonna be working on your question.
Thank you for that, Sorani. And I would just like to remind you all, if you were not with us for the past 2 days, today's session, as well as the 2 sessions that took place before, have been recorded and are available on the Education USA Costa Rica's Facebook page. So you can go to that Facebook page and catch the recordings from day 1 and 2. And of course, if you wanted to recap what was covered today. Okay, I'm seeing that one question. So the acronym, which is in Spanish, states it stands for Prueba de Admisión a Estudios de Postgrad. Okay, my Spanish is not very good. So maybe I could copy this and send it to you, Sorani.
Yes,
and of course, it's probably not something that you're familiar with. Maybe I'll post it for everyone, because there are other Education USA advisors on this call who might be familiar with it. So maybe someone may be able to jump in the chat. And...
Okay, prueba de admisión a estudios de posgrado. Prueba de admisión a estudios de posgrado. I have no idea, but I can find out. I can find out, and the person who asked this question, you can send me an email, say hello next week. Hi, I was the person who asked for, and I'm gonna, yeah, I'm curious already. Prueba de admisión. Okay, I'm gonna take notes on it.
I am as well. So that's something that I'm going to look into.
Because as I read it, when I read it, aphasia, I don't know, I got the feeling that this is something institutional. Prueba de admisión a estudios de posgrado seems like this is like an exam that the university uses institutionally. And when I say institutionally, it is a kind of assessment that the same professors of the university design, because it's, and it is I mean, those are excellent tools, but those are institutional tools. Right. That's my feeling.
So it may be unique to a specific institution.
Yes, that was that.
Okay, so thank you, Sorani, so much for being with us over the past 3 days and sharing your knowledge, your expertise with our participants and as advisors as well. These sessions are always a learning experience for us. We get to take in that information that we could also pass on to our students. So, oh, you're welcome, Hector. Glad that we could help prepare you for that journey. So again, thanks to everyone for being here with us and for sticking around for the 3 days. We hope to see you again soon in another Education USA regional webinar session. Okay. Everyone, enjoy your evening.
Bye, Afisha. Bye, everybody. Thank you.